come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
Okay, so the governor of California might be freaking out right now because Donald Trump just said, yeah, Tom Homan, the border czar, should arrest Gavin Newsom. And by the way, that's San Francisco, not Los Angeles. We'll dig into what happened there under Gavin Newsom's watch as well. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. We're gonna go over what Donald Trump said as far as arresting Gavin Newsom, Gavin's response, and some other events people are not talking about. Now, before we start the video, please like the video. It's by far the #1 way you guys can help this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well, and people need to see what's happening. Here we go.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Okay, so Donald Trump likes Gavin Newsom, but he's also grossly incompetent, and he's okay with him being arrested. Now, here's what Gavin had to say. The President of the United States just called for the arrest of a sitting governor. This is a day I hope I would never see in America. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, this is a line we cannot cross as a nation. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism.
Homeland, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his words. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
So, I just want to point out, Gavin Newsom was the one who went on television and kept really instigating or saying, come and find me if you're a tough guy, you know, come and get me. And then he's posting, hey, this is a day I hope we never see in America, when it was Gavin who was saying, you know, come and get me. Please leave your comments down below how you feel about this. Now, this is very crucial. This is not Los Angeles, this is San Francisco, which was having the same problem. You had these peaceful protests, but then you had these outliers who were going way too far and destroying federal and public property, again, in San Francisco. And remember, Gavin Newsom is the governor of the entire state of California, so this also falls under his watch.
Hundreds of people showed up, and police were standing by. ABC 7 News reporter Tarek Campbell was there as things took a turn.
Tense moment. The protest taking a turn as some began to march, moving toward police. The crowd calling for an end to ICE. Police standing ground, eventually coming within feet of one another. Police readying, and the chants continuing. Protesters vandalizing buildings and vehicles.
Then the moment it turns violent, which is no one wants that, right? Like no one wants anyone hurt, whether it's protesters or the police.
Now, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel. We cover events like this throughout the United States, and we make sure to go over all the details and hold our elected officials accountable. Okay, so the majority of Americans definitely had no idea this was happening in San Francisco. I mean, everyone's focusing on LA, now we're focusing on the feud between Donald Trump and Gavin Newsom, but I'm just trying to highlight this is not an isolated thing in the city of LA, which ultimately speaking, the mayor and the governor would be in charge of, and they would be held accountable if they are found guilty of obstructing and getting in the way of ICE agents. Also, San Francisco had the same issue, and you can literally see right here, it was not a fun or good situation over there. It was a peaceful-ish protest compared to LA, but ultimately speaking, the same exact thing happened. Everything fell apart and it got violent. Again, you would think this is Los Angeles, however, I think it's Waymo or Waymo. These are the autonomous cars that drive around California in big cities. In LA, these vehicles were all burnt down. In San Francisco, I don't see any evidence of these vehicles being burnt, but as you can see, there is some very bad language, specifically guided towards ICE and other federal assets. But now, one thing I find interesting is you have members of Congress now appearing on television and really defending the situation in LA specifically. It wasn't as violent as people are saying. Here's Maxine Waters, and if you guys don't remember, she was actually denied going into an ICE detention center. The door was slammed in her face, but here's what she had to say about the situation in LA.
The LAPD police chief, Jim McDonnell, says the level of violence he's been seeing across Los Angeles, in his word, and I'm quoting him now, is disgusting. Given that, why shouldn't the National Guard be involved?
Well, I was surprised at the way that the police chief was describing all of this. There had been no violence where anybody that was protesting hit anybody, shot anybody, threatened anybody. Nothing had happened. And so he doesn't know what to do, probably, because this is a sanctuary city, and the police don't have the authority. All that he's got to do is work with the governor. The governor was not even called when he sent in the National Guard. The mayor was not even called. The president is initiating this purposely. He knows what he's doing. If he was, thinking, well, first of all, he started all this with the targeting, all of the migrants in the way that he's doing. And so, if we had people who were working together and cooperating, the governor would have been contacted, the mayor would have been contacted, and they would have said to the police, whatever the sanctuary city is, if we need to undo that at this time so that the police will have the authority, we can do that. But no, the president doesn't want that. He wants to use his power. And I am predicting he will go so far as to create martial law.
Okay, so I hope you heard that. Maxine Waters is saying the local LA police chief doesn't know what he's doing. He actually sounds incompetent. She was surprised that he was describing these protests as being violent, and she even said nothing really happened. And then she goes on to say, well, Donald Trump is just trying to cause martial law. Now, if you guys don't remember, this is why I think Maxine Waters is pretty upset. She got rather embarrassed on the national stage as far as her trying to throw her weight around as a member of Congress.
No, I want you to... Hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on David.
Ma'am, we'll lobby securely now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public apparel.
I need to get in.
What are you hoping to do, Congresswoman?
I just want to see David Huerta. Right.
Would a congressperson normally be able to enter the...
Normally, yes.
What is happening here?
Well, there were some of the authorities, I don't know who they were, and I'm trying to get in to see David Huerta, who they have arrested. He is the head of SEIU local union here. I don't know why he was targeted. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know whether they're going to deport him. I want to report back.
Now, as I make this video, this is becoming a common occurrence. There's actually another clip floating around, and I'll make a video on that later, where another member of Congress is trying to walk in on a ICE detention center and the gate is locked. Who would have imagined that a gate would be locked with an ICE detention center? But this is going to probably be a new norm where members of government are going to try pushing their weight around and say, I'm here to, use my authority and make sure everything is okay, while all these cameras are behind me. So make sure you're subscribing because we will be covering more stories like this.
ICE took a lot of bad people off the street that day. We arrested gang members, arrested somebody that had an armed robbery conviction. So we made LA safer. The men and women at ICE, the men and women of the Border Patrol made LA safer that day. But you're not hearing any of this. All you hear is a rhetoric about ICE being racist, about ICE being Nazis and terrorists. And Governor Newsom feeds that. Just like Hakeem Jeffrey feeds it, that he's going to unmask ICE agents. And the members of Congress who keep feeding this rhetoric, they're the ones that are causing this riot because they don't listen to the truth about what the men and women at ICE are doing. We're keeping our promise to American people to make these streets safe again. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're not going to stop doing it.
So, as the kids say nowadays, Gavin Newsom seems to be crashing out on the internet or having a meltdown if you're above the age of 30. Here's my question to you, Sean. Will you continue to parrot the talking points of a president that is now threatening to arrest a governor? Will you stand by his dictatorial threats and continue to churn out his propaganda? The time to defend our democracy is now. Do the right thing, Sean. Again, this is kind of embarrassing coming from a governor. You would hope that somebody acts a little more professional, tone it down, and maybe try to have a private conversation with Trump. Again, Donald Trump said he likes Gavin Newsom, but he just thinks he's incompetent. So there is a silver lining there, but what we're seeing really is a political show, let's be honest.
Hi, so what are you and your police force, I know how busy you are, preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday. When we find out when and where the other raids are going to happen, that will determine how the police respond.
This right here is another key example that the Trump administration has an issue with. The Trump administration wants to work with sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. And I'm not only saying this because obviously I lean conservative. I've been following deportation operations since day one and before Donald Trump was even the president. The whole goal is to work with law enforcement so this doesn't happen. And we can clearly see there's two sides here. For people who don't like the deportations, like the mayor of a sanctuary city, all of the blame is the deportation operations. It's ICE fault because, we don't know what's going to happen and our people are going to get mad. On the flip side, the Trump administration is saying, hey, let's just work together so that we can handle the situation, not so much in private, but educate the public of what's happening, and then we won't have these protests. Leave your comments down below how you feel about this.
I am here at the Adelanto Detention Center along with Congressmember Gil Cisneros and Congressmember Derek Tran. We have the right to conduct oversight of this detention facility, but as soon as we drove up, they actually put this lock on this gate and on that lock so that we could not even get in and exercise our lawful duty. That's not right.
Okay, like I mentioned before, we're already seeing this. This is a brand new clip. I'm not going to make a video on this yet, but these are members of Congress who are showing up to an ICE detention center unannounced. They are allowed to do that, but it's highly disrespectful and highly frowned upon, and now are saying, look, the gate is locked, thus they are not allowing us to do our job. Make sure you're please following this account or subscribe, because I will be following this story. I do think this is going to become a common occurrence throughout the United States.
We don't get it! Bring it down! We don't get it! Shut it down! What do we want? Free David! What do we want? Free David! What do we want? Free David! What do we want? Free David!
Now that's a new protest in Washington, D.C. as I make this video. And look, you're allowed to protest. That's what's amazing about the United States. You're allowed to be loud, you're allowed to broadcast it, but to the Trump administration, what you're seeing in LA is not just a peaceful protest. It's gone beyond that, where you have these protests that lead to violence, and then you try to throw all the blame at the federal government. And again, even the mayor and Gavin, they are saying the only reason why this is happening is because the federal government is doing their job, deportation. So I will leave it at that. I will update you guys as all the news comes in as far as will Gavin be arrested. I don't think he's going to be arrested. This is already embarrassing enough, just like the wildfires and how that was handled. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.